Welcome to the Trinisphere, where Timmy, Johnny, and Spike battle over all things EDH. On this episode, here with your host, Hog, we're going to be brewing a budget Ruric Thar the Unbowed commander deck. Remember to like and subscribe to our channel, and don't be shy, leave any questions and comments, and we'll try to get back to you as fast as possible. So every time recently that they've released the Ravnica Guild Kits, we will take one of the legendaries and one of each of the cards in the guild kit and build a commander deck where the remaining cards are under $1 budget. So today we're going to be talking about Ruric Thar the Unbowed, and this card is an absolute house. Let's talk about its stats first of all. It is a 6-mana 6/6, 4 generic, and a red and a green. It has Sneaky Reach, a lot of people forget about that, and Vigilance. And it says whenever a player casts a non-creature spell, Ruric Thar the Unbowed deals 6 damage to that player. Now it's relevant that he deals the damage, because if you somehow find a way to give him lifelink, your spells will then break even effectively. You won't take any damage, and then when an opponent casts a spell, you will gain the 6 life. So today, let's break into this deck tech. I want to talk about key cards that replicate effects of Ruric Thar. We have a couple in the deck. Cindervines, which is an enchantment that says whenever an opponent casts a non-creature spell, Cindervine deals 1 damage. So it's quite a bit smaller than Ruric Thar's effect, but similar. It also has the added bonus of pay 1 and sacrifice Cindervines to destroy target artifact or enchantment. Cindervines then deals 2 damage to that permanent's controller. So it's pretty good. It's got a lot of reach, 2 mana enchantment. It's not hard to come down. And that kind of cumulative damage over time will help you kill your opponent. So I think the best card arguably outside of Ruric Thar, and granted it is a non-creature spell, so we will be taking 6 damage if he is in play, is Rhythm of the Wild. The card is absolutely insane. It's a 3-mana enchantment. It says our creature spells can't be countered, which could be relevant in our upcoming gameplay video because there are blue players, but the other added bonus is that all creatures we control have Riot 1, effectively. And this will give our creatures either the choice of haste or a +1/+1 counter. And that is very good when we're playing 47 creatures in our deck. We also want to find a way to replicate non-creature effects with creatures so that we don't incur the downside of Ruric Thar. So we're playing a lot of Gotham cards almost that are creatures. So Blood Rush, the Gatecrash mechanic for the Gruul, where you in combat can discard a creature card and pay an activated ability cost to give your attacking creature an effect. The prime example there is Gorklan Rampager, which is a red and a green Blood Rush, and you discard Gorklan Rampager to give an attacking creature +4/+4 and trample. And if you choose not to Blood Rush him, he is himself a 4-mana 4/4 with trample. So just very cost-effective creature, get some damage in early, or combat trick, slam that in on Ruric Thar who's attacking, you make him a 10/10 with trample. It's tough for opponents to block, especially when you're playing a budget deck. Some other Blood Rush cards that we have are Rubble Hulk, a 6-mana star, where Rubble Hulk's power and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control. He has Blood Rush 1, a red and a green. You discard Rubble Hulk, target attacking creature gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of lands you control. So they are just going to mirror their base effect as a combat trick. Again, very good as a surprise Gotham effect. And our final Blood Rush effect is Wrecking Ogre. He is a 5-mana 3/3 with double strike, 4 and a red. And he has Blood Rush 3 and 2 red, discard Wrecking Ogre, target attacking creature gets +3/+3 and gains double strike until end of turn. Some other spells that we have that replace spells are Collar of the Claw, 2 and a green for a 2/2 with flash. It's a board wipe protection because we're playing a lot of creatures and not a lot of interaction in spells. We need ways to make sure that when our creatures die, we're still going to be ahead. So when he enters the battlefield, you put a 2/2 green bear onto the battlefield for each non-token creature put into your graveyard from the battlefield this turn. So that's very good. If I'm player 4 and player 3 board wipes, end of turn, flash in Collar of the Claw, I have an aggressive army ready to attack again. Some ramp, we're a little weak on ramp here. Trying to do it with creatures. We have Birds of Paradise, came in the guild kit. Just a 1-mana 0/1 flyer, add green to your mana pool. Drum Hunter, a classic from Shards of Alara. He fills two roles. He is a 4-mana 2/2 that taps for colorless, but he also says at the beginning of your end step, if you control a creature with power 5 or greater, you may draw a card. So with your general, it's a free extra card a turn. Elvish Mystic, classic mana dork. I love mana dorks, they're fantastic. Really good, pumping out your mid-range plays early. Just a 1-mana 1/1 taps for green. Greenweaver Druid, a 3-mana 1/1 that taps for double green. Nikia of the Old Ways, card that Shannon has previously covered in a deck tech. Nikia says whenever you tap a land for mana, you add 1 mana of any type that land produced. So that mana can be used for creatures and for creature abilities like Polukranos, his monstrous X ability, and Ulash the Hate Seed, where you can remove counters and make 1/1s or deal damage. For our removal, we rely on creatures and the fighting mechanic. We have Ulvenwald Tracker, a 1-mana 1/1 that says pay 1 and a green tap. Target creature you control fights another target creature. Ravager Worm, a card from Ravnica Allegiance, is 3 a red and 2 green for a 4/5 with Riot. And again, Riot says this creature enters the battlefield with your choice of a +1/+1 counter or haste. And he says, whenever Ravager Worm enters the battlefield, choose up to 1, destroy target land with an activated ability that is not a mana ability, which could be relevant, or fight target creature you don't control, which again is removal because our creatures are more often than not going to be quite a bit larger than our opponent's creatures. Polukranos fights, as does Gruul Ragebeast. Gruul Ragebeast is very key here. 5 a red and a green for a 6/6, and he's good because he says whenever him or another creature enters the battlefield under my control, that creature fights target creature an opponent controls. So he effectively gives all of our creatures the ability to fight, pick off smaller creatures, be able to get through damage as quickly as possible, because that's the end goal of this deck, is to make sure our opponents die first. We've got some card draw in here in the form of, I really like Elvish Visionary, 2-mana 1/1 ETB draw card. It's a great one. Garruk's Pack Leader, 4 and a green for a 4/4. Whenever another creature with power 3 or greater enters the battlefield under your control, you may draw a card. This is going to be great. You're going to be playing lots of creatures, drawing lots of cards. Palaka Worm is another solid threat. 4 and 3 green for a 7/7 trample. He's going to ETB to gain 7 life, so he'll catch you up if you're behind. And when he dies, he lets you draw a card, so he replaces himself. All right, so utility. We have a few utility cards here. We got to get rid of those pesky artifacts and enchantments. We've got the classic Reclamation Sage, a 2 and a green for a 2/1 ETB, destroy target artifact or enchantment. We've also got some interesting ones here. Rust Scarab, 4 and a green for a 4/5. Whenever Rust Scarab becomes blocked, you may destroy target artifact or enchantment defending player controls. Now, normally I don't like to give my opponent choices, but this is budget, and I am okay with both sides of this coin. I either get in for 4, or if they decide to block my big boy, I get to blow up one of their things, which both sides sound quite good. Molten Primordial, 5 2 red for a 6/4 haste. When he enters the battlefield, for each opponent, gain control of up to 1 target creature that player controls until end of turn. Untap those creatures, they gain haste until end of turn. This is a very haymaker play. It will end the game. You take their best threat, you hit them with it. Hellraiser Goblin is going to give our creatures haste, and they have to attack each combat if able. We don't mind. Our creatures are going to be quite a bit bigger. We want that haste. We want our creatures to come down and have an effect as soon as possible. Flame Blast Dragon has another activated ability whenever he attacks. He's a 6 mana, 4 and 2 red, 5/5 flying dragon. He says whenever he attacks, you may pay red and X, fireball effectively. If you do, Flame Blast Dragon deals X damage to any target. This is very good for picking off creatures that our deck normally wouldn't be able to interact with. Say they have an edge and have played a Kraken or something. You know, we'll be able to attack over the air, Flame Blast it out, and then get in on the ground with the rest of our creatures. We can finish the game off with Endray's Forerunners, a new card from Ravnica Allegiance. 5 and 3 green for a 7/7 boar. Now I am all about the boars, as you guys can tell. My name is Hog. This guy's got Vigilance, Trample, and Haste. And he's kind of like a baby Craterhoof behemoth. He says, when Endray's Forerunners enters the battlefield, other creatures you control get +2/+2 and gain vigilance and trample until end of turn. So the main thing to notice here is that, just like Craterhoof, he doesn't give haste to your creatures. So you want to make sure that the creatures you are going to end the game with came into play on the previous turn, or you have your Hellraiser Goblin out. So that way everybody can attack with that anthem. Den Protector is little sneaky megamorph from Dragons of Tarkir, 1 and a green for a 2/1. He has megamorphs. You can cast him face down as a 2/2 creature for 3, and then turn it face up at any time for 1 and a green. And when he is turned face up, you can return target card from your graveyard to your hand. Obviously, I'd like to be playing Eternal Witness in this deck, but not budget, and Den Protector fills that role quite nicely. Like Rhythm of the Wild, we have another uncounterable creature, Spellbreaker Behemoth. He is a 4-mana 5/5, 1 a red and 2 green. He can't be countered, and creature spells you control with power 5 or greater also can't be countered. Just like Rhythm of the Wild, this is really good against blue decks. We want to make sure our threats stick and we can get the damage in. Finally, let's talk about lands. We're mostly playing basics here. We have some dual lands that came in the guild kit itself. We have Gruul Guild Gate, Gruul Turf, and then we added a couple more: Highland Weald, Timber Gorge, Temple of Abandon. Thankfully less than $1. The Scry one is very relevant. And then we have a couple of utility lands that are quite good. We have Scourge the Rage Pits. Red and a green tap, target creature you control gets +1/+1 and trample until end of turn. Almost a small Kessig Wolf Run. Can surprise attack someone for that extra point of damage. It gives our general trample, which is very relevant. And we also have Mosswort Bridge, which is just a land that taps for green, but when it comes into play, it has Hideaway. You look at the top 4 cards of your library, exile 1 face down, then put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Then, when you meet its requirement, which in this case for Mosswort Bridge is having total power among creatures 10 or greater, which is quite easy considering most creatures in this deck have 5+ power, you can pay a green and tap it to play the exiled card without paying its mana cost. So you can kind of cheat a card out. Alrighty, thank you for listening to this deck tech. And if you have any questions, please let me know, and I will get to them as quickly as possible.